On the 21 of March 2018, Mart and Laura Leshikar embarked on a trip to Disney World with their daughter to celebrate her 5th birthday. Accompanying them were Lavigne, the girl's godfather known as Uncle Billy, and his daughter, who was like a younger cousin to her. The vacation lasted nearly a week. Unknowing to them, the girls, Leshikar and Lavigne, continued to engage in excessive drinking and drug use throughout the trip. Postmortem toxicology reports revealed that Leshikar had consumed Valium, tramadol, MDMA, and cocaine. However, his sister Nicole mentioned that he had planned to get clean after this last celebration. On the way back to North Carolina, Laura separated from the group to take her sister to the airport. Meanwhile, her husband and Lavigne continued the journey with the girls in the car, heading to Fayetteville. What unfolded next remains a mystery. Outwardly, it appeared that both men had lost their sanity. Details obtained from an administrative inquiry conducted by the Army, seeking to determine whether Leshikar's death occurred in the line of duty, are incomplete. Around 1 p.m., while still on the road, Lavigne texted Laura, informing her that Leshikar was displaying signs of paranoia, believing they were being followed and that the car was bugged. However, when Laura called her husband via FaceTime, he seemed normal, leading her to believe they were playing a prank on her. She had grown accustomed to their antics, remarking, "Those two would always pull some shit. I could never take anything serious." Around 4 p.m., they arrived at Lavigne's house, located at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac. Leshikar opened the hood of the still warm Honda Accord and began disassembling it, triggering a physical altercation, a wrestling match on the driveway. Subsequently, Lavigne took the girls inside the house and locked Leshikar out. Both girls were witnesses to the events that followed. Leshikar's daughter recounted the incident to her mother and grandmother, saying, "Daddy was mad at Uncle Billy for locking the door. When she heard her father call her name, she went to let him inside." She then explained, "Daddy started walking towards Uncle Billy, and Uncle Billy started shooting him. And I looked at Daddy, and it was like he was dancing. And he fell down on the ground, and Uncle Billy kept shooting him. And when my daddy looked up, I could see he wasn't there anymore." The aftermath. Lavigne's inconsistency. Fort Bragg confirmed that an investigation into the death of Sikh First Class Mark Leshikar is being treated as a possible homicide. Leshikar's family now alleges that Delta Force operator William Lavigne shot and killed Leshikar during a heated argument at Lavigne's home 2 years ago. Lavigne was not initially charged, as he claimed that Leshikar, a veteran of Afghanistan and Tajikistan, had attacked him with a screwdriver. Initially, Lavigne informed the police that Leshikar had taken his own life. However, he later admitted that he could not see Leshikar's hands to determine what he was holding. A Defense Department memorandum questioned Lavigne's credibility but classified Leshikar's death as in the line of duty. The Cumberland County Sheriff's Office described the shooting as a justifiable homicide. Leshikar's family alleges that evidence was tampered with and that Lavigne called another Delta Force operator to the scene. This friend reportedly took Leshikar's phone, but only returned it to Leshikar's wife, Laura, several days later, claiming to have found it in Leshikar's car. According to Leshikar's sister, Nicole, Lavigne and Leshikar were best friends, but would frequently argue and allegedly use cocaine. Following a traumatic brain injury caused by an improvised explosive device, Leshikar worked a desk job at Fort Bragg. He struggled with addiction to tramadol and self-medicated with Valium, as stated by his family. The incident occurred shortly after Leshikar and Lavigne had taken their families on a trip to Disney World. Lavigne reported that Leshikar acted strangely during the car ride back to Fayetteville, North Carolina, claiming that Leshikar was paranoid and believed they were being followed. However, Laura, Leshikar's wife, stated that her husband appeared to be behaving normally. Leshikar's body was found in Lavigne's house with multiple gunshot wounds to the chest and neck. 4 .45 caliber shell casings were discovered at the scene. Lavigne maintains that he shot Leshikar in self-defense when Leshikar approached him with a screwdriver. However, both the medical examiner's report and the Defense Department memorandum revealed inconsistencies in Lavigne's account. Investigation. According to the memo, no screwdriver or any weapon was discovered near Sikh First Class SFC Leshikar's body. The memo explicitly stated that Delta Force operator Lavigne never admitted to moving the screwdriver or any weapon after shooting SFC Leshikar. The memo further mentioned that Leshikar was behaving in a threatening manner, but Lavigne could not see Leshikar's hands at the time. This information was provided by the police, who found the screwdriver outside near Leshikar's car. Despite the incident, Lavigne's career in Special Operations Command continued. Law enforcement authorities determined the death to be justifiable, and an investigation by the 1st Special Forces Command concluded that Leshikar died in the line of duty. Additionally, the Army Criminal Investigation Command conducted its own probe. First Class Mark Leshikar's death was justifiable. Delta Force operator William Lavigne's career in Special Operations Command continued. The 1st Special Forces Command conducted an investigation, which concluded that Leshikar had died while in the line of duty. However, the events that unfolded later in the year cast a shadow on Lavigne's standing. In September 2018, Lavigne faced felony charges related to harboring an escapee and maintaining a location used for manufacturing controlled substances. The charges stemmed from an incident where authorities discovered a property crime suspect hiding at Lavigne's residence, along with the presence of drugs in the home. Interestingly, a man who had been present at Lavigne's home during the time of the arrests later claimed responsibility for the drugs found, leading to the charges against Lavigne being dropped. In February 2019, Lavigne was once again implicated in harboring an escapee. However, both his court date and the charge mysteriously disappeared from the records. These incidents shed light on the complex and troubling backgrounds of Lavigne and Dumas. An anonymous military source revealed that both men were under investigation for involvement in drug dealing at Fort Bragg. Close associates of Lavigne disclosed that he had been a habitual user of drugs, including cocaine and MDMA. Despite their checkered histories, both Lavigne and Dumas enjoyed a level of freedom within the town of Fayetteville, North Carolina, near Fort Bragg. Dumas had faced numerous arrests in the state for various offenses, but had never faced prosecution. Lavigne, too, had managed to evade prosecution on multiple occasions. Despite being suspected of serious crimes such as harboring an escapee, operating drug-related facilities, and potentially even murder, it remains unclear whether these circumstances were a result of law enforcement failures or intervention from higher authorities at Fort Bragg. Before the tragedy that struck on December 2nd of 2021, where a deer hunter stumbled upon the lifeless bodies of 44-year-old Timothy Dumas and 37-year-old Billy Lavigne in a wooded training area near Manchester Road on Fort Bragg. Dumas had suffered a single gunshot wound to the head, while Lavigne exhibited multiple gunshot wounds to the chest. Lavigne's body was found wrapped in a nylon blanket, and he was discovered naked except for running shorts. According to court records, both Lavigne and Dumas had pending court dates for unrelated cases at the time of their deaths. Lavigne was scheduled to appear in Cumberland County District Court to address a hit-and-run charge. On the other hand, Dumas had a court date set for December 17 in Forsyth County, where he faced charges of breaking and entering, communicating threats, and impersonating a law enforcement officer. Unfortunately, further details regarding the specifics of their cases were not disclosed publicly. First Class Mark Leshikar and Delta Force operator William Lavigne raised questions about potential motives and those seeking retribution. Could these acts be driven by a desire for revenge from friends of the murdered Green Beret, or could they be a response from others who have been affected by the trail of destruction left behind by Lavigne and his associates? However, it is important to note that Lavigne's deity presented a contrasting perspective. It highlighted his unwavering dedication and selfless service to his country, portraying him as a devoted patriot who served without hesitation. Lavigne held a deep affection for his fellow servicemen, considering them his brothers. His obituary solidified his status as an American hero, emphasizing his generosity and his welcoming nature towards anyone who crossed his path. The obituary further illuminated Lavigne's approach to life, portraying him as someone who seized every moment and embraced challenges without succumbing to fear. Alright guys, that wraps up our video for today. If you enjoyed watching this, please do well to give us a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more.